Hello class. Now, learn chapter 13, Management in Multinationals. So, first, we watch a movie and answer the following questions. What is Thomas Anderson's job? What kind of company does he work for? Why is the work of his entire department being outsourced to India? What is Todd expected to do in India? What difficulties does he have in India? What lesson does Todd draw from his outsourcing? Now, so here's the answer. He is a vice president of the customer relations at a Ford Order company in Seattle. The work of his entire department is being outsourced to India because salaries are much lower in India. Number 3, Todd is expected to train the workers there and find a replacement for himself. 4, Todd finds himself in a country that is vastly different from where he grew up, a culture that he cannot connect to, and a language he cannot understand. 5, Todd soon learns that the only way to be comfortable in his new life in India is to not resist the Indian culture, but assimilate with it. So new words here. Number 1, you have multinational. Multinational means large company operating in several countries. Assets means seizable property. Tractor means farm vehicle. X is the spindle on which one or more wheels revolve. Subsidiary. This is a part of larger companies. Clash is to be incompatible. Rusty means corroding. Envelope is rustedly. Now is ruggedness. Lubricate means to make something run smoothly. You have lubricating oil. Plus means luxurious. We have plus office. Impose something on somebody means insist on something. Beat around the bush means to discuss a subject without coming to the point. So, question for skimming. How did many experts define a multinational? Give an example of the local approach. How are the interests of multinationals and foreign governments? Give some examples. How have many countries tried to do in order to be against multinationals? Give an example. In the multinationals, what will multinational managers spend much of their time doing? Give specific answers related to the following factors: environment, language, customs, relations, and business practices. Number 5, what qualities do the multinational managers need? Give a specific example of a business practice to clarify its quality. Now answer number 1. An organization should operate in at least 6 countries and have no less than 20% of its sales or assets in those countries. In addition, the management should have a global perspective. It should see the world as interrelated and interdependent. For example, students. Question number 2. The interests of multinationals and foreign governments are conflicting. For example, close down the planning a country, supplying subsidiaries with cheap or below cost products. Prefer the earnings back to the head office. Now, question number 3. Many countries have tried to restrict their operations. For example, a certain percentage of equity of the foreign companies must be owned by local investors. A percentage of the managers of multinational must be local staff. Question number 4. Multinational managers spend much of their time working overseas. To be specific, they will be living and working in a strange environment. They will deal with people who have a different language, custom, religion, and business practice. For example, Mr. Students. Question number 5. The multinational managers need human relation skills, an understanding of the other culture, and the ability to adapt. Example, relation skills. ASEAN executives have an attitude of intellectual and cultural superiority. They seem to be know-it-alls. American managers are willing to learn from their fellow workers and treat them as partners. Culture. Europeans and Americans like to get to the point quickly. When negotiating, Brazilians take their time, trying to create a relationship trust. Now look at the book page 159 for look at the question for scanning. Number 1. Operate in at least 6 countries and have no less than 20% of itself or assets in those countries. Number 2 is the British Petroleum. Number 3, it takes away business from other suppliers based in the foreign country itself. Number 4, which must allow a certain percentage of the subsidiary equity to be owned by local investor. Number 5, to warn its readers against making the same or similar mistakes as those given as examples in the book. Number 6, because they found that the Americans had an attitude of cultural and intellectual superiority, and because they have tried to impose their way of life on local workers. It might cause them to react in the wrong way to long silences during negotiations so that they lose ground in the means by making concessions or by being over-eager. Now, vocabulary focus. Everything that belongs to a company and that could be sold in order to pay a debt. Stop production, shut completely. Pressurize, attempt to make somebody to do something by means of forceful demands. Begin to do business, begin production. It is established. Money earned, revenue. Disagreement and bad relations caused by differences of opinion. Shares. Please avoid hurt somebody's feelings. Speak about the most important part of a subject. Getting to the point. Forget anything. Thank you. Goodbye.